Hello and welcome to Video Jug. We're going to show you how to make sun-dried tomato and eggplant focaccias. This simple recipe for mini-sized focaccia results in a tangy vegetarian filling served on top of a soft, fresh dough crust. It's sure to be a great hit, especially with the children. Step 1. You will need the following ingredients to serve 4 people. For the dough, 350 grams of flour, 180 milliliters of lukewarm water, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of fresh yeast or 1 teaspoon of dry yeast, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1½ teaspoons of honey, 2 tablespoons of cornmeal, and some flour for dusting. And for the topping, 100 grams of sun-dried tomatoes soaked in water, 150 grams of pureed tomatoes, 2 garlic cloves sliced, half an aubergine or eggplant as it is also known, peeled, cubed, and lightly fried, 75 grams of grated mozzarella cheese, 80 milliliters of olive oil, a few basil leaves for garnish, roughly chopped, and finally some salt and pepper. Here is a handy list of the ingredients. You will also need the following utensils: 2 bowls, a spoon, a metal spatula, a blender, a saucepan, a wooden spoon, a baking tray or pizza stone, a knife, a tea towel, a brush, and finally, an electric mixer with the hook attachment. Step 2. Make the dough. Begin by placing the flour, the water, the olive oil, the yeast, the salt, and the honey into the bowl of the mixer. Lower the hook attachment and switch mixer onto a slow knead. Gently mix for roughly 5 minutes. Once the dough begins to form into a ball and cling to the hook, remove it from the bowl. Then place it onto a clean working surface and knead it quite strongly using the heel of your hand for a further 3 minutes. Mold the dough into a ball and place it into a bowl. Then cover with a clean tea towel and leave it for an hour, during which time it will almost double in size. Step 3. Make the sauce. While waiting on the dough to rise, you can make the tomato base. With a saucepan placed on medium heat, add 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil and the sliced garlic. Stir and let it sweat for 30 seconds. Then add the pureed tomatoes and the sun-dried tomatoes drained of their water. Stir them in and season sparingly with the salt, as the sun-dried tomatoes are quite salty enough. Grind in some pepper too. Lower the heat and leave the sauce to simmer for 5 to 10 minutes. Remove from heat and place your pan on top of an inverted fork to let it cool slightly. The fork prevents the saucepan bottom from lying flat on the counter so that the air can cool it underneath too. Step 4. Puree the sauce. Spoon the cooled sun-dried tomato sauce into the blender and blend on pulse 2 to 3 times to make a rough consistency. Transfer it into a bowl and set it aside to cool. Tip: if the sauce is still hot, make sure to leave a little space with the lid to let the steam escape. Step 5. Separate the dough. Now that the dough has doubled in volume, uncover the bowl and punch out the air once or twice with your knuckles. Then divide the dough into 4 pieces and mold it into 4 small balls. Sprinkle them with a little flour, cover with a towel, and set them aside to rest for another 15 minutes. The dough can be covered in plastic wrap at this point and stored in the refrigerator for up to 2 days. Step 6. Preheat the oven. Set the oven to 250 degrees centigrade or the highest gas mark. If you have a pizza stone, now place it into the oven. If you're using a baking tray, place it upside down into the center of the oven to get really hot. Step 7. Shape the dough. Lightly dust your work surface with flour. Take a ball of dough and place it onto the floured surface. Sprinkle it with a dusting of flour, shake off any excess, and start to open up the dough ball using your thumbs. Stretch it into a circle by punching with your fingertips and pulling it outward. Turn over and repeat on the other side, and repeat with the rest of the dough balls. Step 8. Fill the focaccia. Begin by lightly brushing each of the focaccia bases with olive oil. Then, place a generous dollop of the sun-dried tomato sauce on each one. Spread the sauce evenly around the base with the back of your spoon. Make sure to leave a generous space at the edge. Then, sprinkle over the eggplant, and finally, the cheese. They are now ready to bake. Step 9. Bake. Remove the now heated tray from the oven. However, if you are using a pizza stone, do not remove it. With the tray still inverted, sprinkle over a little bit of cornmeal. This stops the dough from sticking. Then, with the help of your spatula, place all 4 pizzas onto the hot baking tray. Be as quick as possible to retain the heat, as the hotter it is, the better the dough bakes. Now put the tray into the center of the oven and cook for 10 to 12 minutes until they nicely brown. Then remove from the oven. Step 10. Serve. Just before serving, garnish with the roughly chopped basil leaves. Then serve immediately. These delectable creations make the perfect lunchtime meal or even an after-school snack. Experiment with different types of topping variations. Enjoy! And that's how to make mini focaccias with sun-dried tomato and eggplant the video jug way.